they brought out a patch during the tournament, and the Ultras, when they attacked a planetary fortress or a command center or any building, it would do AoE next to everything next to that building. So if it hit a command center, it would hit like a whole screen of damage. The SCVs all turn to repair. The Ultra hits it twice, and 25 SCVs die, and any Marine standing next to it. It was like, oh my god. I think it might have been like, I don't know if it happened in like a Hope Torture game. I'm pretty sure Fruit Dealer may have got a few advantages out of that though.
Well, let's intro to the players real quick here because it's already starting pretty interesting. In the top left here from Kaiser Gaming, the man of the hour, this is Time.
Glad to finally be underway, and he is getting started with a secretive barracks. Down in the bottom right, it's Coffee. Playing for Invictus Gaming.
That's right, huge Chinese esport brand. Won the that Invictus game and won the international one year. It was a long time ago, but that is no small feat. That's only
especially
just,
in China,
a small prize pool tournament. The international, you may have heard of it.
Like a few $1 million.
What?
Okay, so this is one of those builds you're like, I hope my opponent scouts and freaks out, because it's just a normal build. You've just built your production slightly off center. That's about it, right? For Coffee, and Time doesn't scout, so he's like, damn it, it doesn't pay off.
It's actually still a 1-1-1 fast expand because he's still getting the 2 workers on the gas who's still looking to expand with this. He's just putting it in his natural, man.
Yeah.
You don't tell Coffee what to do. Coffee tells you what's up.
I mean, this is pretty good for Time, in my opinion, because he's just going for a 1-Rex expand. He's actually playing a very conservative, quick bunker opening. He's going to probably build 3 Marines before adding a reactor out of that barracks. And not bothering to scout at all. So Time is just playing, real defensive conservative to start things off.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting opening, but there's the build. If you were just looking at the production tab, it'd be like, oh, this is normal. It's just if you look at the minimap and realize that, the buildings are just a little bit differently placed, shall we say. I used to be the guy that never walled off in TVT because I was like, oh, no, it's fine. I have Reapers and Hellions, and I don't need a wall in to stop things. But then I realized that walling off in TVT actually can be really useful. Depending on what your opponent goes for. Sometimes
people make 6 Hellions and 6 Reapers, and then you really want to have
that exact scenario. That exact scenario.
Yep. The guys who are hoping that you don't get your wall up in time, or you just didn't wall to begin with. So, quick tank for Coffee though. He's going to be going for an early tank drop, Maynard, and trying to push that position. Now, if Time starts a Viking, as soon as his starport's done, he can basically hard counter this.
Indeed. And he is going right into the Tech Lab starport here, and the 3rd gas as well. So it does look like a Raven follow-up. And yeah, got old medevac there from Coffee. So Coffee looking to get across the board very quickly, very early here.
Yeah, that medevac's going to boost right over. So he's going to look for the add-ons on those buildings, and the Tech Lab on the starport especially is very exposed. He'd take that one out. Could even slow down the Raven production, that sort of stuff. And a Cyclone is starting up for Coffee, but Time has not started anything on his Tech Lab factory just yet. He's starting a super early 3rd command center. Time is being so greedy right now.
Oh my god. He's about to take a bit of damage. He's about to take damage. The only question in my mind is how much damage is he going to take? How much can he mitigate from this really early medevac play here from Coffee? He drops the tank on the low ground, ferries the Hellion and the Reapers and the Marine into the main. Time gets wind of it now, but he doesn't really have units.
Ooh, hasn't stopped the SCV putting the command center yet. That's got to be a prime target here for Coffee. Very important to get that. Oh, his tank actually shoots his own units when they're on the depot. Big mistake there for Coffee. Takes a big amount of splash damage from his tank.
Gets the depot there, obviously supply blocking Time, but Time already has in production enough to hold on here, I feel. The Cyclone definitely being utilized very nicely. The auto turret also defensively. Tank repositions itself, so Coffee still trying to make something happen here. Widowmine can go down here for free. Time micros it back. Ooh. Loses the Cyclone. Oh, that's the auto turret up there on the high ground. The Cyclone, the natural, is still alive. In fact, he's repairing it.
Okay, you got to stop that command center, though. That command center is going to finish. Coffee's not targeting it at all. I think this is a huge missed opportunity. The command center is sticking out like a sore thumb, and Coffee's just letting it go up.
I think he's got like horse blinders on right now. He really is paying attention to the bio production facilities, the starport, just trying to shut down the unit production. Oh,
gets the Raven. He gets the Raven. Raven and a Cyclone going down. And you know what? Okay, auto turret will get the tank. Oh, Time though. His Raven. The Cyclone lock-on does break, and it looks like with the medevac and the tank down. finally this does get defended, but Coffee doesn't have a third command center behind this. He just wants to keep piling on the aggression, so he's going to keep looking for angles wherever he can. His Reaper does get out. He's got more tanks, more Ravens rallying across the map. I think Coffee will need to build a third command center on location behind this just so that he can macro on out of it. Right now, Time has a finished third command center. He's still building extra barracks and engineering bays. Time is handling this crisis situation very well.
Yeah, crisis management is a skill unto itself. You know, you got a plan, but what happens when someone messes with it? And that's what Coffee's trying to do here at the beginning of the game. Obviously, Coffee's still in an all right spot. Supply blocks pretty heavily on 70, though. The depot's very late for Coffee, so not macroing perfectly while pushing here.
That's a good push angle, though. Auto turret's going to come out of Time. Auto turret will answer for Coffee on the enemy tank, so both sides going to lose the siege tank.
And a Raven gets picked off by the Cyclone there from Coffee. The tank does go down finally. Mass repair on the bunker. A huge SCV pull from Time. With the auto turrets trying to assist from Coffee, but the auto turrets are busy with that tank. The tank survives. It pulls back to the high ground. A scan even from Coffee to try and get the tank, but a little bit too little too late. And Time holds on, keeping the tank alive in the process.
Coffee's building the third, building the extra barracks, the eBays. Time is a little ahead on all of those things, though. So the damage has, you know, it's hit. He's hit a few blows, but they're glancing blows. They've kind of bounced off Time, and Time is still getting all of his work done behind it. And look at this. He's going to try and go land his third in front of this army. He's just so confident at keeping up his tasks. He's so experienced at handling this sort of stuff. I do like the opening from Coffee. I do think, you know, he needed to get a little bit more damage done earlier. And now it looks like Time. He's just going to walk forward. These Vikings, such a big advantage.
Yeah, the Cyclone can obviously lock onto the Vikings, but every time they come near the Vikings, they're going to take a shot from the siege tank here. So the Cyclone has to be very careful. Coffee just doing his best with his army, staying very active, trying to contain Time for as long as possible. But Time really doesn't seem to be sweating here. He's just leapfrogging his tanks forward, closer and closer to securing that third base. Ooh. Cyclone finally goes down, and now there's no answer to the Vikings.
Uh-oh. Command Center is going to be able to land there. Coffee has done the same on his side of the map. I do kind of wish Coffee took his third on location, but nonetheless, he's morphing into orbital now. Relatively equal workers. He is about a minute and a half behind on the upgrades and a little behind in the bio production as well, but it's still a relatively evenish game. I think, though, you look at the supply, you look at the workers, you go, oh, it's pretty even. But with the supply being that much quicker in the upgrades, as long as Time remembers his armory, which I think he's forgotten so far under pressure, he should be able to just keep working his advantages, and his production will kind of explode in the next minute or two because his reactors, his barracks are simply finishing faster.
So the armory starts here for Time, so even with the delayed armory, he should still have a head start on 2-2, even if Coffee gets his in 30 seconds here. It's usually when you want to get it, halfway through 1-1. And yeah, so we have a little bit of a breather as Coffee reinforces this push in the middle with a lot more Vikings. That's a pretty strong air army, and also two very high energy Ravens. Keep in mind that Time lost Ravens. I think he lost two of them earlier at the beginning of the scuffle at the beginning of the game. So there is a Raven advantage here for Coffee, which is definitely worth noting.
Fourth command center on the way as well. Wow, Time really just wants to play super defensive turtley TVT and just work those command center advantages, but that Viking count is too much. Oh, the Ravens!
Of Coffee. A little too close there. A little bit of a miss micro on that Raven. Does drop the auto turrets. The Vikings being protected by that tank of Time. And this push from Coffee, it looked a lot better on paper, but damn, Time shut that down real hard.
Yeah, even the Marines trying to shift to the left, and there's like the Widow Mine just sitting there, cleans up the last couple of Marines. It was like, oh, damn. So now Coffee is way behind. Starts an armory of his own to start catching up in those upgrades. Does start his own fourth command center. Could still draw this out to the latter stages, but as you were saying, doesn't really want to be playing that. Time is an expert there. And as he comes out of this supply block, he's starting vehicle weapons, every little detail going down. And Time, I mean, this is kind of reminiscent of how Special often likes to play this matchup, where he's like, get faster command centers, keep macroing, keep attacking, keep on doing more than your opponent. Just keep getting more command centers, keep getting the next stage. And the supply count grows. The advantage there, the second factory is way quicker. And I do expect Time to swap into complete air control and some liberators later on as well.
We were talking about the upgrades earlier. Coffee, unfortunately, didn't get his armory until 1-1 was very close to done, or even after it was done. So 2-2, a very big lead on that upgrade for Time. To get further and further up the upgrades, they take longer to finish. So being like halfway through 2-2 when your opponent hasn't started, that's a big window. That is a big window advantage there for Time, where he's going to be 2 upgrades up on that bio. He's a little bit further along on the armory for the tank attack as well, which is worth noting, but not as big as the double upgrade lead on the bio, I feel. So this is a big advantage for Time in pretty much every single regard here. Bigger army, more economy, faster fourth base, and Coffee I like where his head's at. Try and do something in the early game to try and slow time down. Take a lead in the early stages and try and turn it into a win. Because when you get to this phase of the game, 10 minutes plus, I mean, are there many scarier players on time out there? Not that many. The list is short.
Indeed. Well, moving up the north side of this map, there's actually, funnily enough, a missile turret on the edge of the map looking for Doom Drops. May have spotted the sensor tower. Definitely does.
Ooh.
And the units are coming back here, but the tank siege very far back for Coffee.
Yeah, the tank's not really a part of this until the Bio comes a lot closer. Time single tank actually survives that scuffle. It's getting a repair on it as well. And Time taking a 5th command center at the 9 o'clock or the 8:30, whatever you want to call it. Down at the bottom left here. Wow.
Yeah.
Confidence.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? You're in the top right of the map. Let's do it. Fusion core as well. Extras going down now for Coffee. So Coffee, that's an odd choice. Like, Coffee's getting gas on his 4th, but is he going to go... Because it's way too early, isn't it? Oh, maybe he has already got his extra 2 starports since I see some reactors building. So maybe he is going to just try and match the Viking lib count, but Time's chance to finally attack. It's Time's first move across the map of the entire game, and it is an astounding numbers of Marines and tanks.
Yeah, with that 2 upgrade lead on the Marines as well, as he pulls back the tanks, letting them take some shots off, picking off a bunch of Marines for free here. And also these depots going down does mean that Coffee is going to be closer to that supply block, and which means he doesn't have a comfortable supply cap to continue to reinforce this location. The tank's just out of range of the 3rd base. He needs a scan to be able to actually shoot back on it. Looks like his Viking count actually just coming across the map now. There's the air fleet of Time coming in with a full energy Raven just about. Now it's time to push these tanks back.
A great controlling position there for Time. Marine backstab for Coffee, going to try and move through the center. Might be able to pick up a few command centers. This command center has to get mass repaired just to survive the Vikings. And there we go. Tank is covering though.
Cancel on one of the command centers. The tank does go down. That is a planetary, and the Bio actually needs to respect that. Going to try and pick a different angle. There are more tanks for Time at the 3rd and the natural choke point. And Coffee deflected. Time takes game 1 in a pretty dominant fashion. I got to say, the early game was very close. It was definitely, very back and forth, very action-packed. But once Time found his footing, it was just blow after blow into Coffee's face. And Coffee fell over, unfortunately. Had to tap there.
Yeah, just growing bigger, better, faster, stronger, and insanely fast 3rd command center. Remember, Time didn't scout. He did not scout. He played an expand, and he just was like, nope. Just going to get bigger. Yep. I don't care what you throw at me. I have confidence in my ability to defend it as it comes. And it looks so promising here at the start. Watch the tank on the depot. So you see there, he shoots a Reaper and a Marine there on the depot. And then he shot the depot twice, units on top of the depot, and caught them with his own siege tank friendly fire.
Yeah, just a little bit of a little sloppy execution here and there for Coffee. And stuff like that is going to get punished by someone as good as Time. And he wanted a scan to get that auto turret to pick off the tank as well. It was just desperation from Coffee to try and make magic happen and get as much damage as he can, like just bleed as much damage of Time as he could. But this push, unfortunately, I feel like put Coffee on a big back foot. Like, he came forward with the Raven a little too deep, lost the Raven there to the Vikings of Time, and Time just, even without the sensor tower giving him early warning, just seemed to be able to handle this perfectly without losing much. And his first push across the game, a game-winning push. His Marines, 2 upgrades up. He's just showing Coffee, he's like, oh, you want to push the 3rd base? Let me show you how it's done.
The soul-crushing inevitability of a Terran player who doesn't need to scout and just expands and defends, expands, defends, and outgrows you. This is one of the most frustrating types of Terrans to play against, Maynard, because it is hard to actually punish that when they are as good at handling those attacks as Time is. It really leaves you going, damn, I don't want to play the slow game, but I also am not sure how I'm going to take you down. So I do think Coffee's going to keep being aggressive after this series, keep looking for a way to find weakness within Time's early game. And I don't think it's a bad way to play. I think he's just got to keep trying different things and see if he can find the build that solves the puzzle.
Totally agree, and I'm very excited to see what Coffee has for us in Game 2 and what Time's got for us as well as a response. We're going to take a short break. When we return, Game 2 of Coffee and Time. We'll see you then. G'day, mates. Welcome back to the Chinese main event here for DreamHack Masters. I am Maynard. With me is Pig, and we are in the middle of our actually final best of 5 for the evening. It's not like our next best of 5. It's the final best of 5. It's Time versus Coffee, and Time currently, to the surprise of not many, up 1-0.
Indeed, a very decisive first map. I thought cutting factory production to literally squeeze in the fastest third command center of all time was going to be a bit of a deal breaker. Time says, nah, no worries, mate, no worries. Tank drops, dealt with it 1,000 times before, I'll deal with it 1,000 times again. Yeah.
I mean, there is a little bit of onus on Coffee there to make that third not happen. He definitely had the ability to make that third go away, or at least slow it down for sure. Like you said, but it really felt like he had he was like very focused on making the production go away for Time and just to win the game, or at least take like an even more critical lead. Because getting the third or slowing down the third is definitely good. You know, it takes an advantage away from your opponent. But he was like, oh no, if I kill a tank or two here and I take the reactors and the tech labs away, then I can maybe just win with this medevac.
I mean, it's a disaster, right? You lose that tech lab and that reactor, it's like, oh, cool, I can build one Viking at a time and one Marine at a time, you know? And the factory's back there still working, but you've lost, half your production, essentially. So that's a big disaster if those go down. So, I mean, definitely understand why he went for it. I think there was a very good reason for why he went for it. Like, it really did make sense to just say, hey, let's look for the big damage. Just didn't quite work out. A little bit of friendly fire, great handling and juggling of tasks by Time. And, you know, he was building SCVs nonstop the whole time. It was like 4 minutes of micro, defending different angles there. And he's like dropping mules, SCVs, depots, eBays and barracks were going down while the fighting was still happening. And he just moves his third out. Like, I love that calm, almost disrespect in the face of a very, in-your-face play. He's like, nah, just keep doing everything I'm going to do anyway.
Yeah, like I don't know if you want to call it disrespect or like a lot of respect to be like, I'm going to not scout my opponent and I'm just going to go 1-1-1. But I guess not scouting is disrespectful, right? It's like, whatever they do, I don't care. My build will be fine and I will deflect it and I will win. In the top rights, let's see if the Invictus Gaming Terran can answer back and get himself a tied-up series. This is Coffee.
And the bottom left-hand side, the reigning champion and an absolute monster, representing Kaiser Gaming. It's Time.
A pretty huge favorite, not just in the series, but in this tournament. The back-to-back-to-back 3-time Chinese champion for the DreamHack Masters.
Dominant in those past seasons, and it's going to be opening up here with a double gas. So a move away from the fast expand, while Coffee is going to be doing that. So a role reversal with the openings in map number 2. And cool to see this coming in. Recently, it's been all double gas. I've been watching, a lot of high-level TVT, and so few of these expand builds. Like, I always like seeing the expand builds because I think they're good. They have their place. I see Hero Marine at times goes through phases where he uses them a lot, and I always enjoy watching and learning from him. That's not me. I keep thinking it's me. I keep freaking out and kind of like, oh, no.
Oh my God, Pig, it is you. Look, it says that you're dropping. All right, looks like our observer might be having a small little snafu here, unfortunately. That's just straight up dropped, right? That otherwise it'd be a countdown.
Well, no, it just means that he's lagging.
So
true. It means that
otherwise you'd have the two buttons.
Insano's disconnecting for some reason. Whether that's probably something on the server side. Usually, you never really know what's going on. The fact that we've got that feed still coming through to us, so clearly and everything, but you never know.
And this is
a lot of weird things that happen there.
And honestly, Pig, I've had enough. This is the last straw. I think that we should fire Insano and get rid of him. But then, we realize that he's the only observer in the region, and that means that not only is he the best observer, he's also the worst observer. When you're in a pool of one, then we're stuck with him. Unfortunately, lagging the game or not, ruining tournament integrity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still working on my pulling Fezzer out of retirement, petition.
Yeah.
But at the moment, there's just the Insano chokehold on the observing industry in Australia.
Yeah, he's really got the monopoly. He's got the observer market cornered here in South Australia, or in Australia rather, south of the world, I should say. South world.
It's the this side of the globe. And indeed, second
right.
Reaper coming out here for time. Coffee is going to go for, you know, the later bunker by the looks of it compared to... Oh, no, he'll go down and start that right on time. Okay. Does even delay a second gas for it, so it's actually an exceptionally safe... Wait, did he go... Where's... Oh, his Reaper's out front his base. That's where it is. Okay.
Yes, and Times is about to jump into the main of Coffee here. Having a little look-see. So this basically means that Coffee's not going to worry about the Hellion Reaper part of the game. He's like, I'm just going to chill. If you go Hellion Reaper, you are going to be denied by my bunker. At least theoretically, that should be the case. So I think that Time's not going to spend too much time. God, I gotta get a thesaurus and figure out some new words. But he's not going to waste too much time keeping those add-ons for the factory and for the barracks. He's going to be switching over and getting tech labs pretty shortly, I think. Phasing out the Reaper Hellion part of the early game.
Indeed. So the command center is getting past halfway. Reactor finishing up as well. And the thing is, people often think, well, the guy with the faster expansion should be ahead here, right? But there is a quicker starport for time. So just getting the quick attack structures mean you get into Cyclone, Ravens, these things earlier. And, I mean, think about the early game TVT. Even 6-7 minutes, it's often Raven, tank count. That is what decides the fights. It's about those technical units that add such power as you engage. So getting those out earlier can be powerful, and in this case, it's actually going to beat the medevac, so it's a complete role reversal from last game. Almost exact opposite build orders.
Yeah. I like the corner deeper here from Coffee as well. Small little tidbit. Gonna give himself a little bit more of a vision of the main. It's actually Time doing the exact same thing. Should always do this, Slider Terrans. All you Terrans from home watching these great Terrans, trying to learn a thing or two. Get that corner depot. And we do have a medevac first here from Time. Time getting assertive here in game 2.
Yep, he's doing that same tank drop that Coffee just did to him. He says, I can do this better than you, mate. Let me show you how it's done. But I don't know. Coffee looks pretty well set up so far. He looks well positioned. Let's see. How does he pull it off?
All right. Well, the Cyclone and all these units to the edge of the map is definitely a good start until the tank gets sieged. Oh, that's a volley right there. Oh, my God. That's another good volley. Some very hurt Marines in that ball.
Oh, yep. Straight for the reactor. Nicely done.
All right. The reactor going down is actually quite massive. Another shot for the tank. Oh, my God. That thing. One more. There it is. Coffee now down to a single Marine production from that barracks. I mean, Marines definitely aren't as important as having things like tanks and Cyclones and flying units here for sure, but Time finding some pretty nice damage. A depot about to go down as well.
Oh, this is stacking up right now. This is really stacking up. Time finding large amounts of damage so far. And you can tell that Raven just looking for the opportunity, but there's too many units guarding. Hasn't found the opportunity to drop that auto turret. Feels like it's not going to be able to kill anything on its own. So Coffee takes a big punch, but look at this. Coffee is now going into extra buildings here, trying to transition, but there's more units rallying across the map. Time still has the forward position. He's building his third on location, so really taking advantage of this momentum. I also believe he scouted Coffee going for extra barracks quickly. So Coffee really wanted to be the one dropping and being assertive and doing doom drops and running around with Marine tank medevac in the back door. But Time's the one who's got all the aggression going for him.
Yeah. These are the kind of things that we wanted Coffee to do while he was pushing Time in game 1. You know, take the third on location, just try and turn the advantage into an even bigger advantage. You know, don't miss your macro back at home while still containing your opponent as much as possible. Time basically taking him to school with his own strategy in game 1.
Oh, the tanks get another big volley on the Marines. Not quite able to kill the enemy Raven. Close, but not quite. Energy is building for Coffee's Raven. He's building medevacs, Marines, tanks. So Coffee really wants to defend this and then just start boosting across the map for doom drops, getting in the backside with some siege tanks, that sort of stuff. Third command center does start for Coffee, though, as he's pinned back right now.
Goes to the third up here in the main base, so definitely fighting from behind here. You know, you look at the numbers and you're like, he's down a fair bit in army supply, but the worker supply is close. That means he's doing all right? Not really. Time's got that third on location. It's about to be saturated as well as he's done mining, or rather done saturating the natural and the main. Comes the mules, here comes the defensive tanks. Nice advantage in the next minute or so for income for Time.
Yeah, it's all about these drops. This is always Coffee's plan with this 3 racks build order. He wants to get into those mineral lines, siege up in the back, and really force Time to attack into him. And he's got to do this before Time's upgrades kick in, right? Time is halfway, away from Stim being finished. It's a nice little mobile force coming in, but I'm surprised he doesn't just drop into the natural.
Yeah. It felt like it needed to be a bit more YOLO, like boost over the natural, drop it into the mineral line, and then when the tanks arrive or Vikings arrive, just boost up and leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would have been the perfect play. Now, he is, of course, going to come out with another bunch of medevacs. He might look for a drop into the main base around the left side of the map. There's Vikings over there, though. Raven does come out. Coffee actually just falling back for now and going to play a macro follow-up. He is going to have a marine advantage. Keep that in mind. So as the armies grow, I think Time is not really missing a beat on his tanks, his Vikings. He's going to have that control, but his marines will be outnumbered, and the upgrades will be pretty even, but right now there is a +1 advantage for Coffee. So Coffee still has got a more mobile force. Time is much more reliant on being sieged up in position and using these slow siege tanks and Vikings to gain control.
I like what Coffee's doing here, trying to break down the rocks and create himself a straight shot to the natural. But Time has been giving a few extra moments here to actually set up the defensive siege a little bit more convincingly. If Coffee did want to try and push that angle, he might try and break down the rocks here as well, just to open up a, you don't really want to come into a choke point like this against a defensive location like that. It's just so delicate when you attack in TVT. You have to be very, very careful, as you can, armies just disappear with the power of the siege tank.
Oh, he's gonna go, but no.
The Raven! Oh, no! The Raven's one shot. Time's diving for it. Okay, Coffee just keeps it alive, but my god, he nearly lost a very expensive unit for free.
The armory is now on the way there for Coffee. Coffee's actually macroing really well behind this, so I'm very impressed that he didn't overcommit. I still do think he missed an opportunity earlier for some drops, but now he's just kind of using this more mobile marine-heavy army to control the map, keep Time back. But Time's going to find a way to max out. So as Coffee, what do you now do? I mean, he's looking for an advantage, looking for an angle. Only one tank on the far left. He might be able to just stim on that.
All right, well, he does get a siege up, but it's going to be in range of the sensor tower and also this depot, but not the defensive tanks of Time. And Time's got this air advantage, man. That Viking count's not too bad. Also, the Raven advantage with a lot more energy. Man, yeah, Time is actually... mismacroing ever so slightly, just 164 out of 165 there, missing all, the constant depot production. But other than that, still looking very, very solid, still maintaining a decent lead. And 2-2 is jump-started by a Coffee. Time's not able to afford it just yet. He just starts +2 attack.
I mean, Time is macroing so well that his supply count was actually angry for a while there.
Yeah, it had the swear symbols, like it was naughty words. Look at that. Maybe Shouldn't the number 69 be bleeped out? Because,
I know, right? This overlay's got it all wrong.
That's the naughty number pig. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you've been on the internet before.
Oh, I thought that was 42, meaning of life.
Ah, that's just life. That's not the naughty number. Life's not naughty. Life's not naughty.
Oh, okay. I'll have to do some research.
The third, he's going to try and right-click on it, put some damage on it. And, oh my god, he lost like 10 Marines. Raven's coming forward from Time. Going for the interference matrices. That means Time wants to pounce. He's going forward with the forward siege. Oh my god, Coffee's going to get erased here. Look at all those tanks.
Wow. Oh my god.
Oh my. Time makes, like, TVT can be very tough to play, but Time makes it look so easy, man. He really does.
4 interference matrices, dude. I mean, he's just like, oh, your tanks can't shoot, mine can. Like,
yeah, he's just like, well, what you do is you make the Raven, and then you put the Raven on a hotkey, all right? And then you get a sensor tower, and when you see the red dots, you move your tanks to where the red dots are, all right? And then when you guys siege, and then when the guys siege pushing you, what you do is you use those Ravens on the separate hotkey that you've been keeping alive for the last 10 minutes to just send spells on the tanks, take them out of the fight, pull your tanks forward, and then you win. GG. Enjoy your TVT ladder points.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Maynard. I think that's definitely something I'm going to have to... well, you broke it down. You translated it for us. That's all right.
I'm good at dumbing things down,
teaching assistant Maynard.
Yeah, this push from Coffee, I feel like it had a little bit, had legs in it at the start there, but that lockdown with those Ravens banking energy this whole game, and then Time's just like, hey, here's 10 siege tanks. Boom, 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 boom. And there goes Coffee's push. Convincingly so.
That was efficient, dude. I always like, it's always scary to move forward like that in that position, but I always admire just the ability to judge it and go, nope, there's not enough tanks here. I've got the Viking advantage in the skies. They're going to move forward and clean up your medevacs. We'll move our tanks forward. We'll lock down most of your siege tanks, just stim over. And for a moment, I'm like, oh, that's actually a few more Marines for Coffee. They've got into the open. They've spread out. And no, 10 siege tank shots and then another 10 siege tank shots, and every marine is just erased. I also love the beautiful audio of the stacking sound effects of 80 marines all going down at once, man. That was beautiful.
It's my favorite. I actually want the Chinese client sound so badly, but I also don't want to play. First of all, I don't want to play TVT on good ping. Second of all, I don't want to play it on 450 ms.
Yeah, that would be, and I imagine spiky as well. I would really imagine it's not going to be clean for you. So
not great.
Definitely a nasty one. But anyway, their Coffee hit by his own build order, playing very defensive, oddly enough, in that game, and I kind of liked it. So you could see Coffee's game plan in that last game was get a little ahead off the expand if I can, nice, smooth, economic opening, and then I'm going to get 3 barracks. I'm going to make a bunch of Medivacs, Marines, tanks, and I'm just going to start dropping into your bases, really look for some early damage in those mineral lines, and then I'll take a third behind it. But after sustaining the reactor loss, the depot loss, a bunch of units going down to that early tank push, Coffee didn't feel like that timing existed anymore, and he was a little too cautious, whereas we got, we could see everything. We were like, dude, he can actually just dive in that natural. Time was not looking for it at all. I don't know if Time realized the extra barracks were there when he was doing his push. He was just focused on the combat. And as a result, I think Coffee did miss an opportunity to kind of stick with what his build had planned to do from the start of the game. And because of that, yeah, it ended up being a little one-sided in the tail end.
There was a couple moments, not just that one time, but also later when he was attacking the third, the less convincing attack, I guess. He was just not being confident. He was second-guessing himself, which, I mean, there's no room for that, unfortunately, at this level of StarCraft, and Coffee's going to need to be a bit more assertive. We're the daddy pants here in Game 3. And we're on Beckett, guys. In the bottom left here, in the red from Invictus, this is Coffee.
Laid out all on the line because his opponent is an absolute monster, so damned hard to take down, and looking like he might be getting a 3-0 road to the grand finals. In the top right, in the blue, this is Time.
Time is not on our side and makes fools of us all. And what's another saying? And it just can't be stopped, literally and figuratively, apparently, in this series.
Time defeats all things.
That's right. Heals all wounds.
Heals all wounds. Defeats all opponents. It is the unbeatable opposition that will wear down even the mightiest opponent to but dust.
That's right. Like tears in rain. I need to rewatch Blade Runner.
The new one or the classic?
Both, man. I'm a big fan of both of them, actually. I like the classic more because I grew up with it.
Yeah.
But the new one nails the aesthetics so well, and is honestly like a pretty cool story and a decent enough sequel. Like, I don't think it's better than the original, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I now watch them both. Like, I'm one of those guys that likes to watch a series when it comes to movies, because, if I'm going to watch John Wick 1, the next day I'm going to watch John Wick 2, that kind of thing. Now, like, when I watch Blade Runner, I always watch the second one afterwards.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I've got to rewatch it, actually, because I watched it on a plane, and I'd like to do it justice on the big screen.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Because it was still pretty and nice, but I'm like, this would have been so much better in the cinema, but let's at least do it on my big speakers and my big screen at home and,
yes,
give it a bit of love.
It's, yeah, I mean, that aesthetic is just so hard to nail, and it did such a good job. But anyway, that's that movie. Let's talk about the builds here from Time and Coffee. It's actually very, very similar. Very, very similar. Reaper into Hellion for both players. Actually, the Tech Lab going down a bit quicker for Time, so there's some differences. Just on that factory, knocking it back, so not going to bother with too many Hellions in this game.
Yeah, so he's just doing the 2 Reaper quick cyclone, right? Like, I know I was a big fan of that. I tell you, if you're doing a really heavy Reaper Hellion rush like Coffee, this is the worst build to run into. I like to do the kind of cheesy builds like what Coffee's doing here. Lots of Reapers and Hellions, try to charge in and overwhelm. And there's probably going to even be a second Cyclone or a quick tank out of time, which makes it really hard to achieve anything with this excess of units you've built. Yeah.
Well, these Reapers kind of dive and get picked apart there. He does have a look at what Coffee's got. He gets a couple SCVs for his trouble. That's Coffee's going to pull the trigger now in his early game army, see what he can get done on Time side of the map.
Swaps the factory off straight away. He feels like 1 Cyclone, 2 Marines are going to be enough to defend. Does need to just make sure he doesn't lose the Cyclone. It could get dive. 3 Reapers, 2 Hellions will make quick work of it. But if it pulls up the ramp and gets back and gets repaired a little, it should be okay.
All right. Yeah, it goes back up. Pulls back for a safety. SCV there for the repair. Oh, he's diving for it. He really wants it. Oh, the grenade puts the SCV away and does actually pick up the Cyclone, but the Marines should be able to take 1 Reaper out. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, man. Great animation there. Mid-air Reaper gets blasted and goes flying off. And Coffee, he gets the Cyclone. Not enough damage, though. So he does end up finding himself forced to the next step, but his Raven, it's going to be 1 Raven behind and behind in the tank production as well. But hey, wait a second. Maybe finds a little bit more here.
Yeah. Yeah, Reinforcement Reaper and Hellion. I mean, this is a fair bit of an investment from Coffee to go this ham on Reaper and Hellion. But if he can continue to push back these Marines and then threaten the SCV line,
yeah,
then this gets worth it.
Time was very greedy by not building another Cyclone and swapping over for the quick Raven. So he does get punished a little bit in the second wave here. You know, losing the Cyclone and the 6 SCVs. That was Time being disrespectful to Coffee, because the whole point with this build is you dive those 2 Reapers in, and if you see them building just heaps of Reapers and Hellions, you just queue up a second Cyclone. And you go, okay, cool, now I'm 100% solid versus everything. But Time was like, nah, he's so good at defending on a Razor's Edge. And he does actually finally get punished a little bit.
Reaper's trying to find a little bit more in the main base here as they dive on in. Tank out of position, just trying to siege up so it's able to cover the main mineral line. These SCVs actually still exposed at the refinery as the Marines come to try and body block those Reapers. Good stuff from Coffee to just try and make the most out of this as possible. He is starting to switch into the more important units, though. Of course, Marine and Tank, Reactive Barracks and Tech Lab Factory for both players. They switch into the Raven on that 3rd gas. Is there any Terran that doesn't get the Raven anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I try to skip it, a Cloaked Banshee flies into my base. It's like the first game in 30 where someone goes Cloaked Banshee in TVT, and it's always the game I don't have a Raven. It's a great utility unit. It also keeps you very safe against a lot of options. But this push coming forward right now for Coffee. 3rd Command Center going down at home behind it. Wants to get that forward siege location. It's the double Raven utility for Time that scares me for Coffee.
Reacted Starport is such a power thing as well in the defense. Like the ability to push depends on your tank's range, depends on your vision. The ability to hit high ground as well, keeping the Ravens alive. All those things are so important. Those 2 Vikings are about to pop here. Coffee is threatening the Starport. That's in range of these tanks.
Oh, we'll lose high ground vision. Oh, auto turrets. Oh, interference matrices.
Oh, the auto turrets coming for the high ground there, which are doing some damage, but Time, once again, just using his tools so effectively here, and he takes extremely little damage. Like, did anything actually die there?
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. I mean, Coffee, he just wasn't expecting such a confident just move forward there, because you discount that as even an option. If he saw that coming, if his Ravens were positioned further south, he just drops auto turrets in front of that, gets a tank volley or 2, plus the auto turrets. That should not have worked as well for Time. But Time, he's got this quality. He's got this kind of, you know, just imperious attitude, right? He looks like he feels untouchable in this matchup against Coffee. And so he's getting away with things which he maybe shouldn't be.
Yeah. Now he's got the bigger army here. Oh, bit of an interception, though, from Coffee, who's pre-siege, but realizing he's outgunned here as he pulls back from the middle in that speedy zone.
Volley. Places, he wastes enemy auto turrets and gets some units out. Oh, an accidental turnaround for a moment. Does lose a tank. 1 sieging up, though. He's going to try and siege up there as well. He's got some of his own Vikings out. His Marines coming forward. But, nice tank advantage for Time. And that really works out quite okay. Does lose 1 tank there as he doesn't have vision. Going to just try and push through, though.
His Vikings hurt versus Coffee. He's actually landing the Viking here to fight the tanks. A bit of a mistake as the tanks are on siege and they really DPS those Vikings to death. Ooh, high ground tank, though, takes 1 tank away from Time. Feels like Time's push is not as convincing as some of his earlier efforts. This one, I think Coffee's got on lockdown at the moment. Oh, doesn't have that many Vikings. True.
Still just looking for advantages, and keeping Coffee off that 3rd is very important because Time's building his 3rd on location. So he is getting away with that right now. Securing it, Coffee's SCV advantage is, it's worth nothing. You know, if he can't actually mine from that 3rd base, it's worth nothing at this exact moment. That being said, Time pulls back, and he's going to transition to the next step. Only 1 eBay working for Coffee, while Time goes right up to 5 barracks and the engineering base all at once.
Yeah, so definitely not throwing away a lead here. You know, he's down quite a bit in workers at the moment. You know, being down 8 workers is considerable in a mirror matchup when you got 3 bases apiece. So it's definitely a edge for Coffee here. But the army, quite powerful still. The ability to push Coffee and put him on the defensive, still available here for Time. His air fleet's been replenished quite quickly. Coffee's sharking here with these Vikings looking for some free damage, but Time trying to get in that position in range of that 3rd base. Oh,
those Ravens, just such a problem right now. Coffee, though, can pull back to those 2 tanks. Doesn't have position in front of his base right now. Look at that. Time moves forward. 2 tanks in range of the command center. That's a big problem.
Yeah, that puts a clock on Coffee's defense here. It puts him under pressure to make this go away as the tanks start to take away SCVs from the mineral patches. And those Vikings with the Ravens giving him that air advantage. So now he has maximum range on these tanks without needing to scan. He does see Coffee trying to go through the middle of the map for a counterattack, though.
Ooh, Marine's going to stem. They will catch 1 Viking, but they will not get those hit points back. No medevac's out just yet. They're going to try and close in on these tanks. Marines and SCVs come in. Oh, man. Those tank volleys were powerful.
Yeah, actually, Coffee lost a lot there cleaning up these tanks. He does clean them up, but he loses tanks of his own. He loses 16, 18 SCVs, the landed Vikings of Time. Oh, man, there goes that SCV advantage that Coffee had once upon a time. And you know what? That upgrade advantage, he had +1 a lot earlier than Time as he went single engineering bay. He's kind of going to be losing that lead too, as 1-1's about to finish here for Time.
Time's working all of those angles. This is exactly what Time does in this matchup. He just does everything at once. You know, it feels like Coffee is focusing on 1 or 2 things at a time, you know, like a human who's very, very good at StarCraft. And it feels like Time is just like, you know, all-seeing, all-knowing, and the ability to just multitask so well. I mean, we've got a regular, strategically talented lad in Coffee up against literally Ender from Ender's game in Time. He's just expanding, macroing, expanding, attacking in multiple areas. When he senses he's ahead, he pushes forward. When he realizes he's in danger, he pulls back, waits for the right moment. This is literally just Time on an entirely different level here on Beckett. He is winning so many fights after fights. He's reversed that worker advantage, as you said, and he is getting right on up that production tree.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is such an advantage for Time, and he doesn't really have a habit of throwing advantages away either. It's the sign of a very, very hard player to beat. He's heading towards the 2nd factory as well, and is really just playing solid, straight, macro bio-tank TVT, getting his 2nd factory well-timed. The TU2 is around the corner. We've got more production, more mining. You know, everything just looking great for the Blue Terran, which is... I mean, we wanted a longer series here, so I want Coffee to find an angle and find some damage on Time soon. You know, maybe get a drop-off, maybe hit the main, go for something very, very decisive. Coffee's still just finding it hard, especially with the sensor towers up right now, to get an angle on this guy.
Coffee is going to take that 4th and kind of start to progress forwards. It's an interesting map with Beckett because it is so cramped as you expand to 4 bases. But there's great tank positionings, great defensive spots, and it's kind of hard to actually crack each other. If they are set up and focused on defending, a little bit of Liberator pressure from Time will be a nice addition. We'll see if that finds the mark. And Time really not trying... He's not forcing the issue just yet. But you can see his army gathering on the right side. He's just outside sensor tower range. The Lib's going to distract, and he's going to dive in this right side.
Yeah, and ooh, that is a late reaction from Coffee as well. If he pulls the SCV, he's going to lose at least 4.
And a dive on the right side. The Liberator pulls his attention away, tries to get that position. He jumps on it, does Time. Time a little slow to siege his tanks, though.
Coffee does get some shots off tanks. Oh my god, the tanks of Time taking all the bio away from the north side of that engagement. The concave of Coffee closing the distance on the south side. The Vikings, though, picking off those medevacs. Coffee's tanks keeping him at bay, but just doesn't have the legs to continue to play. And Time runs away with it. A 3-0 over Coffee, putting this young Terran in his place.